Okay, hello everyone. Can you hear me? Let's do some sound check. Just make sure that the sound is working fine. Let me take a minute to see this. So today we're going to be going through HTML. Uh, so just some introductions and stuff, and we're going to start in a few minutes. I just want to be sure that we have everything set up correctly, and then we can get started. Yeah, if you can hear me, just let me know if the sound is good in the comment section. Okay. Okay, yeah, the sound is really bad. Hello? Yeah, I think we're going to go without this sound. Maybe without my mic. Okay, yeah, I think that is good. So today we're going to be having a conversation on introduction to HTML. Yeah, introduction to HTML. We're going to be talking about Git and how you can use it, and also we're going to be seeing how you set up an account with a GitHub account. We are going to be talking about installing VS Code and also how to get started using web development with HTML. So, and also I'm going to be sharing some resources with you that you can use to continue to learn, basically. But I think the most important thing that I wanted to achieve today is to tell you and show you some of these tools and then how you can use them in your work. These are the tools that you're going to be using on a daily basis. You know, the last time we talked about the web development ecosystem and all of the things that you need to know. So now we're going to take it a little bit further. We are going to show you some of these tools that we talk about, and then the importance of these tools and how you use them in for web development. And today we are going to write our first code, which is going to be an HTML code. So HTML is hypertext markup language. It's basically what we use to alter every content you see on the web. Yeah, so and you're going to see how it works and the best practices for writing your HTML. I'm going to be showing you how to organize a simple web app and how you use it. Yeah, so that's what we're going to be doing, and I'm going to show you how to use the IDE also. The IDE is the integrated development environment. That is what you use to write code. If you remember the last time I talked about when you are using word processing to write your tests, when you want to write code also, you can use you need some softwares to be able to help you to write code more efficiently so that you can organize your code, because depending on what you are building, you can be building something small and then before you know it, it gets bigger, and if you don't have like a good software to organize that code, it can become messy. Aside from that, you work with teams, right? And these days a lot of organizations are working remotely, so you're going to be working with people from all over the world sometimes. So having a kind of tools that allow people to work together is very, very important. So that's where some of these tools uh, are very important, and these tools are some of the tools that people all over the world, like some of the best companies in the world, also use. So yeah, so having familiarity with how these tools works is very, very important. Yeah, so today we're not going to waste a lot of time. I see a lot of people are joining already, and if you're just joining us, so my name is Peter Ayeni, And so I'm creating these sections on web development for absolute beginners. So people want to start their journey into web. Maybe you've been like a designer or a web designer or a graphic designer or a UI UX engineer, or maybe hardware engineer, whichever, or you're not even in tech at all and you want to start to explore web development. I think this course, this webinar sessions will really help you and give you insight into how some of these platforms works and what you could learn. So yeah, definitely. So check it out. So yeah, so I'm doing this basically to just like, yeah, support, help a lot of people who want to transition into web and you don't know where to start. There are a lot of resources out there, but I believe that like practice make perfection, they say. So yeah, if you don't give up and you practice and practice, you're gonna get better. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is the IDE. So we're going to talk about IDE first. IDE, and the IDE you are going to be using is called VS Code. And I'm going to be showing you all of the options we have. Yeah, so IDE means Integrated Development Environment. And one we are going to choose is called VS Code. There are different types of IDEs that we can basically choose from. So I'm going to be sharing with us different options that we have when it comes to IDEs, so that we can be able to make yeah, those choices. Okay, so all right. So okay, good. So if you can see my screen, uh, so just like I said, we are going to be using Visual Studio Code, basically. So Visual Studio Code is developed by Microsoft. So it's an IDE that you can use to actually auto uh, any programming languages. Like you can write HTML with it, you can write Python, you can write any kind of languages. It supports so many languages. So if we go to the website, code.visualstudio.com, so that's the website for it. So if you go to www.code.visualstudio.com, you see it. So it's 100% free. It is open source. It runs everywhere. So you don't need to pay any money for this. So just go to the website and you can download for Windows, you can download for Mac, you can download for Linux. So whatever operating system you're using, you can download for it. So yeah, and it's really, really handy. It's, you can do a lot of things with it. You even have Git built into it, so which make it really great. It has like a lot of extensions that you can use to make your life much more easier as you develop. And you're going to see from the example we're going to be running when we start the HTML section. And most importantly, also it has intelligence. Intelligence is like just like it give you like suggestions for your syntax. So which is really, really great, because like as a programmer, there are a lot of syntax. You can't cram everything on your head. Sometimes you make some mistakes in some syntax. So these IDE are so smart these days. They help you. Even these days, people have like Copilot AIs integrated into the IDEs that help you code suggestions and things like that. So you know, development is now much more easy, so you can debug your code much easily, you can run your code much more easily, and that is what VS Code is. So it helps us to be able to write code, and I will show you an example of it. So if you download this and you install, you have it. I've already installed, so if you don't have it now, go to VS Code, that's code vscode.com, to be able to install it. Yeah, so it works everywhere. Windows 8, whichever, any kind of Windows. So it's built by Microsoft actually. So is like the smaller version of how will I call it? You can see that it's built by Microsoft. So it's like the smaller version of Visual Studio Code. If you have written .NET or ASP or these Microsoft languages before and you have used Visual Studio, yeah, um, VS Code is like a small version of it, but they make it like it has a lot of support and a lot of people use it. And the advantage is that it's very lightweight because it's built with JavaScript also. So and it's even run on the web. Even if you don't have the installed version, you can run Visual Studio Code on the web. So if you go to this website, vscode.dev, so I'm going to add this so that you can get it. So vscode.dev, and you'll be able to see it. So if you go to www.vscode.dev, you will see that VS Code is that. And it's just like any file explorer, you have different tabs and different ways you can actually organize your stuff. So which is really great. So if you are comfortable with using Microsoft Word, you can use VS Code. So it's that easy. So maybe you can't install, but you have internet access and you just want to like practice something. You can even use just go to vscode.dev and you can use it to practice. You can see as easy it is. So now I have a .html file. So you can create a file. Let me say like for instance I create a folder. Let me call this folder Python project. So and then inside it I'll just create a new file. Let me call it main.py. So you can see immediately it has understand that this is a Python file. You understand? So and it's telling me to install extensions. So it has different extensions for different programming language that you can use to actually support what you're doing. So which is really, really good. And that's just how it is. It's just so easy to use. You can use extensions, you can run debugging, you can use Git repository inside your uh, VS Code. That's how powerful it is. You understand? So that's how VS Code is. Just explore it, download it, go to vscode.dev if you want to practice online. And if you can download it, just go to VS Code here to download. So that is the number one thing that you need to have. And it's even very, very important to have because you won't be able to write code if you don't have an IDE to write code with. Good. So the number two thing we are going to talk about is Git. So let's go to Git. So Git, I'm going to write it here so that you can go to the website and you can write it down if you need to. So Git is a version control system. I will explain what that means a little bit. So if you have any questions or anything you don't understand about the IDE or whatever I've explained, just post in the comment section so I can go over it again because it's important you understand this stuff. So Git, what it means is a version control system. So Git is a free and open source distributed version control system designed to handle everything from small to very large projects with speed and efficiency. So download this either for Windows, Apple, whatever system you're using, and install Git on your computer. So when you install Git, most of the time you won't be using Git by itself, but you use it with a service system that is called GitHub. Because most of the time, a lot of people will have heard of GitHub. So like you see the word GitHub and Git. So GitHub is actually a platform that is built for you to interface with Git. So I'll explain that a little bit. Let me go to Excalibur and explain how this works. So you have Git. So and then you have GitHub. Let's make GitHub into this big circle. Okay, the background should be this. Okay, yeah. So this is Git. So what you use Git to do is to help you with the version control of your file. So if you have a file, for instance, let's say you are designing something and this thing is like okay, I think yeah, I think this is like, let's say this is like version 1 of what you design. Let me get this test. Sometimes writing tests can be, so let's say what we have a file here that is version 1 v1. Let me increase this. Yeah, let's say this is version 1 file. So you work on this file, you save it, and then you want someone else to work on this file or something change. You created another change of this file, let's say version 2. So but the problem is that between version 1 and version 2, you realize that first time you're working on the document, you save it, because if you add more files, you want to go back to the initial state, uh, which is version 1. So Git allow you to be able to save the state of your work so that you can go back between versions more easier. So that is what Git allow you to do. So it's a version control software. So you install it, and then when you install it, it has all of these little commands, the command line tools that you can use. But then GitHub is now built on that, on top of that Git, so that you can be able to have some kind of interface with your stuff. So I will show you an example. So what you need to do is just go to like GitHub. When you download Git, install it, and then you go to GitHub, you create an account. So on GitHub, account is free, basically. So you don't pay to create an account. So just like I said, GitHub is like a universe for codes. So for instance, if you go to this Excalibur, or you have this your code here, so GitHub will be here where you can have all of these codes here and even more from other people from all over the world. So you have people from all over the world working on the same thing at the same time, and GitHub give you this platform to be able to manage all of those things much more easily. So that's why as a web developer, when you want to create your portfolio, it's good you have everything on GitHub, because people can be able to see what you have done, what you have built. So this is a project I was working on for some time now, and I think it's really good. So you can see that on this project, for instance, you can see here you have contributors. So these are people who have contributed to this project. We don't have to see, a lot of them I've not even seen them. So we have some of them from Nigeria, we have some of them from Iraq, I think. So we have some people from other places that we have not even met in person, but you can see all of their contribution. Like if I go to this person's now, you can see this person's profile. You can see the work they have done. You can see the code they've done. You can see that they've contributed to party and Tech Clarity Coach there. So, which is really good. And then you can go back, and then when you go there, you can create your profile. You can see all of the codes. You can see all of the codes for the project, and then you can see all of the contributors that contribute to it. So if you go here now, this is the project here, techclarity.coach. I will even advise you guys to check this out. So it's a platform I put together for beginners to be able to help them to make career decision in tech. So if you are confused about anything, so check out Tech Clarity Coach. So it's really handy. So it has like a lot of resources. So and this Tech Clarity Coach platform, for instance, like I said, is built uh, with my ID on my own laptop, for like a year now. But then we push it on GitHub where anybody from around the world can contribute to this code. Even you can go here and can see everything that is used to build this website. So, and that is the beauty of web development and other open source projects. So you too can be able to see how projects are being built and how you can contribute to it. You can even borrow code from there. You can learn how things are organized and stuff like that. So that is what GitHub allow you to do. So we talk about two tools now that you need in your arsenal. You need your IDE, Visual Studio Code. You need Git that you need to install all of the Git commands, and then you need the github.com that will allow you to be able to use Git. You understand? And you can also have accounts and you can contribute to other people's open source code. So make sure you do all of these things. And we'll still go into Git and GitHub in depth when we start building some little things. Yeah, so that is that about Git. If there is any questions, if there's anything that is not clear, please ask, and then we can continue with that. So yeah, that is the idea I was trying to illustrate, how Git help us to be able to bring codes together, and it helps us to do what we call version control. So I can go in between versions and stuff like that. So I can show you an example, for instance. So if I go to some of these branches here, you'll see different things that we have done and when we did them. So if I open all of the branch, you can see. So the content structure, format, introduction, improve SEO. You can see someone else resources, add resource to web and stuff like that. So, and all of these things, you can see each of the commits and contribution that someone made to the code. So you can see this is the contribution that I made, this is contribution that Ebuka made. So these are contributions that I made, Ebuka made. So all of us can work on the same files and without conflicting with each other. So that is what Git helps. And this is a very essential skill to have because you are going to be working remotely with people from all around the world. And the only way you can be able to work with them is with this tool. So that's why the knowledge for Git is very essential. So install Git on your computer, have a GitHub account, go to YouTube. You'll see a lot of tutorials on how to get started with Git and GitHub. It's so easy to understand. And then you can then start to learn. And also, if you feel like, yeah, you want to contribute to something, so you can check this Tech Clarity Coach. You too can be a contributor on it. So we have like a lot of resources on the platform. So if you just want to edit a page, just go to edit this page, and then you'll be able to edit everything, make a pull request, and then I can check, and then I can approve it. So we'll go a little bit in details into how this pull request, approval, and all of these things work. But it's important that you have this knowledge. Why I'm repeating myself on this is because most employers today is remote work. So even if you go to office, you still have to use these tools at your workplace. Git, because you have to contribute to a code base that people have been working on before. So you need to understand how Git work, have a Git account, practice, and check other YouTube videos, tutorials about Git. Okay, so that's great. So we've talked about Visual Studio Code, Git, GitHub. So those are the most important tools for every web developers to have. Great. So if there is no any other question, we are then going to move to HTML. So the reason why we are here. Uh, so and then I'm going to talk a little bit about introducing you to what HTML is. and then we are going to have some coding experience and see how do we organize ourselves, how do we create a simple web applications, and how we structure uh, that file. So HTML is called hypertext markup language, and so the idea is that is a markup language in such a way that is what we use to describe a web page. So if you have visited a website before, and we are using a website right now, you see that each website you see a text, you see image, you see paragraph, you see content, you see video, you see banners, you see forms. Uh, all of these things are all HTML. So, for instance, if I go to this Tech Clarity Coach, for instance, let's use it as kind of a typical example. So, if I'm on Tech Clarity Coach, some of the things you see here is you see a logo here. You see an header, so we call here like an header or navigation bar. So, and then you see this menu that you can use to navigate between the pages. So if I click on about, you can see about this project. So, and on this about, for instance, you can see a text, you can see another text, you can see image, you can see paragraphs, you can see heading, and you can see all of these things. You can see more images and stuff like that. So you can see another menu item also that we have that introduce some other things, uh, other stuff. You can see images, things like that. You can see image, you can see buttons, and things like this. So all of these things you're seeing here are described by HTML. So HTML is what is used to describe all of this content here. So, like for instance, if I do inspect this page, for instance, so on your browser, when you right click and I inspect this page, so when I inspect this page, what it's gonna do is you can see that it opened the, let me open this side by side so that we can have an idea of what is happening. Okay, so if I open this page now, you can see that these are all the HTML. You can see here we have doc type HTML. So these are the HTML page that actually make up this page. So we have the head area, we have the body. The body is the entire HTML page. And then we have the div ID, we have the menu area here. So if I click here and select this place now, you can see, even as I highlight, you can see all of the HTML that describe this page. So we are going to go into some of these details, and these things are not really so much. In as much as you understand the HTML syntax, you can use them to create anything that you want. So we are going to maybe, let me see what we can create. Uh, Maybe we can recreate a page from, let me see. Yeah, maybe we can recreate this home page here with HTML today, just for example. So we are going to recreate this simple page. So HTML itself, like I said, is hypertext markup language. In itself, it doesn't give, it just gives your website a structure of what the content looks like, but it doesn't style your content. So that is the difference. So that is where we have what we call CSS. So we are going to do introduction to CSS also very soon, maybe in our next class. So CSS is what gives all of this formatting that we see here. You understand, all of these nice fonts, colors, effects, all of those things is done by CSS. CSS is called cascading style sheet. So HTML, what it does, as you are going to see soon, is just describing the page and the content of that page and how they should look like. So that is what it does for us out of the box. So it doesn't do more than that. I think there is a question. So yeah, you can use Python for web development if you want also. So that's for the server side development. For front end, what you see and everything. So that's what we are majoring on this section, which is HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. That's what you're going to be using. So you can use Python also to even write HTML. There are platforms like Django, for instance. Django can allow you to write HTML with Python. So you write Python, just the server just output HTML for you. You understand? So yeah, so you can do that. And the session is definitely being recorded. So you can watch it back on my YouTube channel or on LinkedIn. You can also watch it back there. All right, so let's continue. So for this lesson, we are going to be looking at this. The last time I talked about web.dev, and I said we should all get an account on this platform because it's very, very amazing. Like it has a lot of content. So because I may not be able to talk about all of the HTML syntax and everything, but if you go here, you can just take this course. It will take you like how many? Yeah, it won't take you so much time. Maybe like 2 hours, you'll be able to master HTML at most. So, but today we're going to talk about some certain things. So, overview of what HTML is. So, we've talked about this, like what HTML is about. So, it's basically for authoring how the website looks. So, it's a markup language. It's not a programming language. So, it has tags that you can use, and these tags are mapped to different aspects of the content. So, like for instance, just think about it like when you are writing on Microsoft Word, you have like on this page, for instance, you have like this header, you have like the small header, you have like list items or bullets, you have paragraph items, you understand? So these are all the kind of things that HTML also gives to us. We have like images, that you can add, you have links, or, you can bold something, you can make something smaller, you can add emphasis and stuff like that. So just think about HTML like all of the properties you use when you are typing on Microsoft Word, you understand? But this time just for the web. So yeah, so all of these things also transitions to in HTML, and HTML elements basically work this way. So it always have the opening tag, and then it will have the content inside of it, and then it has the closing tag, and everything together is what we call an element. So when you have like an H1, H1 is an header element. So for the header element, there are like 6 aspects of them. There are 6 header elements. So the idea of HTML is just that you understand that you have like this markup, and you have like content in between them, and then you have the tag to name what kind of tag you are using. So, and there are different kind of tags. So we have the header tag, like this one. We have the paragraph tag. We have the list tag. The list tag is what we use for the um, list item, just like we see here. Excuse me. So list item for something that we see here. So we're going to see some of this example soon. So and then there are some items that are required you closing them, and there are some items that don't require you closing them. And basically we have form items also. We have images, just like the way we add image. So all of that. So we have also HTML also have attributes to them. So attributes are basically like you have a tag, and then that tag can take in additional attributes to allow you it to do more things. So for example, if you have like a tag is a link tag, for instance. So if I click on this register now is a link tag that is going to take me somewhere. So when I click on it, so that place that is taking me to, I need to be able to tell the tag that, okay, when a user click here, I want you to take them to this particular address. So that is where the attributes come from. So if I use an a tag, I can put what we call href. href with the reference link to where I want the link tag to take the user. Like for instance, registration, register, about us, all of those things are it. All right, so that is just the skeletal system of how attributes works, how HTML tag works. So, but it's easier to talk and show off these things, but when we see them, it's much more easier, in practice. So, is there any questions? But if you want to read more in deeper, you can uh, go on to read on this page. But I will explain one more thing before we go to the practical side of things. So there is something called semantic HTML. So semantic HTML, what it does is to be able to write correct HTML and use it in a way that it is semantically correct. Like for instance, now when we are using the English language, there is a way you can use English language that, yeah, people can understand you, but you're not using the syntax of the English words correctly in a way that is supposed to be used, maybe grammatically. You understand? So you can write HTML in a bad way, and you can also write it in a good way by providing those syntax in the HTML that will help the browser and other people that are using your website. So this is an example. For instance, if you look at this HTML here, we just have these divs, 3 words and 1 word. We have these 5 words. So everything here is just div. So looking at it, even as a person, it's hard for me to understand what this div stand for and what is representing on this page. So, but when we use semantics allow us to be able to describe that HTML and organize our code in a more semantically correct way that help the browser, it help the SEOs, and it help passing, even it helps people who are reading the code. So for instance, so we are describing a website, and we all know, just like I said, a website has how many sections? 3 sections actually. So let's draw it. So we have here, uh, and then we have, this is the main page of the site, which is the body, and then we have the header. So, and also maybe we have the main, where we have the main content of the website, and also we have the footer where we have links and stuff like that. So we can see that for an example. So on this website, you see that we have the header, we have the main body, and then you can see down here we have the footer where we have the copyright and stuff like that. So when we describe our website like this, it gives the browser and even people reading our code an understanding of different sections of our website and what they do. You understand? So, and that is what semantic HTML means. And we know we have this header, we have the navigation. So we know, oh, this is a navigation, and every content in this place are like the navigation, like the about, things like that. We have the main. In the main also we can have headers, and that means that this header is like the top header. And also we have different sections. So we can have different sections in our page. Like for instance, if you look at this now, this about tech leap is a section, benefit is a section, impact is a section, how it works is a section, this is a section. So that way we can use sections to describe that code, and it's much more easier for browsers and everyone reading our code to understand it. So is there any questions on semantic HTML? Because now I want us to go into writing some HTML and how you organize your website uh, for development. So we're going to do that now. Okay, so do we have any questions so far? If there is no question, then we're going to go into the practicality of this. Let me just increase the zoom in a little bit so that you can see me, the screen a little bit more clearly before I start writing code. So I assume there is no question, and then we're going to get started. So when you are authoring a website, an HTML code, you have to have the extension .html. So if I create a file, maybe I'll call it about us or about us, for instance, it will be about us.html. So that will be about us.html. So if I want to create like a contact, it could be like contact.html. So that will be like the contact page. But one thing you have to see that there is this what we call this index page. So in this web file, this index page is going to be that page that will be the home page or the home address of that website. So that is the way that works. So that is the way it works. So if I go to, for instance, google.com and I click run, so the first thing you're going to see here is this page. That is the home page, and that is how it works. That is the index page that is going to be served. So whatever you want to be on the first page of your website should always be the index page. So yeah, so let me delete this. We're not creating Python. I just made this for example. So another thing you want to see is that we have all of this code in this folder. We have about us HTML, we have contact HTML, we have index.html. So you can have any pages, as much pages as you want. So but the home page is the index page. So and then the next thing we are going to do is I'm going to add this doc type. So this is very, very important. So the way I do this is easy. I just put exclamation. So when you add exclamation, you can see this emit. This emit is basically built into Visual Studio Code. So the idea is to help you to write some code that is we call boilerplate codes. So boilerplate code is like code that you don't need to memorize them. You're going to be using them everywhere. So instead of you memorizing it and they are sometimes tricky to write, the IDE just epigenerate it. So when you do exclamation on an HTML page and file and you do enter, it just creates this page for you. So I'm going to explain what is happening here right now. So we can see we have this doc type. When I inspect that web page the other time, you can see that we saw the doc type also. This doc type is telling us that, oh, this page right here is an HTML page. That's what it's saying. So, and also the next one is telling us that, oh, this is an HTML page, and the language we are using to write this HTML page should be English. So that means that even when you over an attribute in HTML, you get MDN reference that tells you about it. So that is the advantage of using IDE like VS Code. They help you to understand your code. You understand? So they give you understanding of the code you're writing. So if I over on HTML, you can see the HTML element represents the root of an HTML document. So that is the root. You can see this. We open an HTML here, and it's the last thing we closed here. And then the next one we have is the head. So the head element represents a collection of metadata for the document. So every HTML document have metadata that the browsers that is serving that HTML needs to read to understand some information about those HTML page. So and then we have the title. So the title basically, if I save this now, so I'm going to use this preview stuff to preview this HTML. So the title is going to show at the top of the browser. But let's change this title right now. I'll make it home so that we know that we are in the home page. And then we have the body. So the body element represents the content of the document. So all of the content of the document we are writing is going to be in that body. So now let's start with the top. So the first thing we are going to have basically is the header itself. So we have you can do header. So I will do header this way. So and it tells me that this is the header sections of my website. And on the header, you can have different things. You can have logo. So we can say that okay, we can have like a logo image, but for now I will just use like a div. here, and I'll just say logo, for instance. So just like to see that's the logo. And then we then have a nav. So nav item basically just give us the navigations, like okay, these are the navigation links. So we are using semantic reference to reference what we are doing. And you can see I'm getting some kind of like intelligence. So VS Code basically give you intelligence to use, and which are really really good, just like giving you idea of what you want to write, and then they can give you some examples. So on the nav, I don't just want to have the link, I want to have a UL, and then in the UL I'm going to have this. So you can see that we have like a UL. There is UL. So UL represents a list of items with the order of the item is not important. So it's called unordered list. So we have OL also. So for OL, the order is important. That is why you can see it will make it one. You can see like it's like this 1, 2, 3. That is a list. But UL, we don't want to know the order, so you just use a bullet point. So we have the index page, which is go to home, and let's have other. We have 3 pages also. So let's have about, and then let's have contact. So, but for us, it's about us actually. So we have that. So now you can see that we have our navigation. So you can see right now, uh, there is no fanciness or beauty to this because HTML does not give us all of the fancy. So that is what CSS does. HTML just gives us the overall structure of how our website should look like. So now that we have our header, which is good, we can just take this now, this header here. We don't have to repeat ourselves and go to contact us and start from fresh again. So we can just go to contact, and I'll do the emit like I did it before. So I'll change the title to contact, and then I'll just put the header here. So because the header is the same for all the pages, right? So exclamation, paste the header, and I'll make this document about us. So which is great. So now if I go to about, you can see I'm on about. If I go to contact, I'm on contact. But there is no way we can know we are changing because every content is the same. So now let's go below header and create what we call main. So, and then because we are on about us page, so let's make this about us. So let's go to contact. We will do the same. So we create main, and this will be contact us. Because we are on contact us page, you can see immediately the contact comes. So if I go back to about, you can see we are on about. If I go back to home, we are on home because we are yet to update the code for home. So let's do for home. You can see how cool is that. Welcome to our website. So that is our home page. So it's as easy as that. And that's how you begin to build your website. And one of the things is that you just have to have an idea of what you want to build. That's why we have designs. So you can do a simple mock-up of your website designs to just be able to see, okay, what you want to build on your site and stuff like that. So let's add some more content to this stuff. Like we have like welcome to our website. Under that, let's have a section. This is too much. So I just have a paragraph. Okay, so we have this welcome to our website. We have a paragraph tag now. So the paragraph tab is basically describing the paragraph. It's as simple as that, describing the paragraph. And then we can then have like you can have multiple paragraphs if you want, but now I want us to have an image. So adding an image is pretty easy. So you can see I added an image from on Splash. You can see this image is really big right now, but it's cool just for demonstration purpose, really. So when you add an image, use an image tag, img, and then we use a source. The source is the source of the image. So this source is an attribute for the image. Just like href is an attribute for anchor link tag. You understand? So, and that's what the way image works. You can add videos and stuff like that. Let's say uh, if we go to, for instance, YouTube, for instance, we can embed a YouTube, for instance, and it will just work. So let's go to YouTube and let's look for maybe a tutorial or something that we can get easily. Uh, okay, so I'll just grab something from my. Okay, this one is currently on. So let's say this from design to code, for instance. I don't want this to play. Okay, so I'll just go to share here and I'll go to embed. You can see that. So just copy this line of code and then let's go back to our HTML. So under the main, so we missed something, but it's okay. We'll fix it now. So I'll create a new section. Create a new section. Let's call it our service, and then we add the video. It doesn't matter really. So you can see our services, and then we add this. So what I said I missed here is that we have this place, but we didn't have the section tag, which is not good. So because it's a different section, it's always good we have this section tag. So that we know that, oh, this is welcome to our website is a section, and then our services with the video is a section. So that's how easy it is for us to be able to add things. And we can add forms and stuff like that. So after our main, the next thing we want to add is the footer. So, and on the footer, we can basically add a copyright information. But this is 2024. And then you can see that we have this copyright information about our page. And that's how easy it is. We can continue to build on top of that gradually, and you can build like a lot of things. So let's add another section here. No, let's even go to a different page, like about us. So under about us here, we want to add about us in the section, and then we want to have like a paragraph that describes about us. So let's go find, let's go to Tech Clarity Coach. Tech. Okay, yeah, sorry, let me. So if we go to Tech Clarity Coach, we go to about, which one should we carry? Okay, yeah, this one. So let's just copy this paragraph, and then we can just paste it here. So we can't see it right now, but if we navigate to about, you can see that we can see this. That's how cool that is. So we can have another section like section, let's say H2. So H2 is like let's say benefits, and then let's benefit of online and whatever. So and then we can put a OL, that's an order list, and then so we can do that. So good. So now we have all of these benefits of online learning. This is just for examples, right? And then we can have contact us. So in contact us is, so what can we do? We can just do like a form. We can put a paragraph for like address. I think there's an address uh, number one, get to know us. So you can see that we have an address there, and then we can basically also put this in this section so that we are using semantic HTML. So we save this, and then we can have another section, and then we can say contact details, something like that. And then we can have like a phone number, email, whatever address. So we can actually take this out of contact us, and then we can have a paragraph that say we love to hear from you. So, and the next thing is that we have our phone number, all of these things. We can have form, a new section. We say contact form, and then we have like a form. So I'll just explain this quickly and submit and reset. Yeah, so this is quite fast a little bit so that we don't waste so much time. So now we see that we have our contact details, we've added our form, so email address, so the numbers, then we have this section for contact form. So this contact form is not distinguishable now. So the best we can do is let's put it in an H3. So you see that H3 is a little bit smaller to this, so we can give some kind of hierarchy in what we have. So contact form is here, and then we can have the name, you have email, and then we have the message that the user wants to check. But what you notice is that all of these things are just like describing everything, but it's not fancy, it's not beautiful, it's not the way this is not what you're going to have on a website, things like that. But it's a start. That is how every website gets started, like this bare bones and stuff. So what we do to make it fancy, to make it look nicer, is basically adding HTML, adding CSS to it, and that is what we're going to be doing next. So we're going to make this page much more fancy. This thing is too big. The home, about, all of these things, we want it to be stuck at the front here. So how can we make this look like, maybe like this, something a little bit simple and much more fancy, in a way that is more organized and stuff. So we're going to, in the next section, talk about CSS and how you can use it to make your website better. So I don't want this to pass through 1 hour mark, so that you can go back and learn all of these things that we've talked about here. I'm going to just stop sharing for a minute. So just go back and practice. Go to web.dev, the website in that place. It have all of the resources. So web.dev/learn/html. So master HTML, practice with your Visual Studio Code and everything. And then, yeah, next time we are going to talk about CSS, how you're going to make your HTML look pretty, and we're going to write some CSS, make the HTML look nicer, resize our images, make the font nice, put background image, style our navigations, and all of those things. So thank you everyone that joined. So try to make sure that you share this with people that you think they need it. And next time we'll go deep into CSS. And also all of these things we are doing, we are going to host it on the web page. So I'm going to, next time is CSS. How do we create stuff and host it on the internet? So hosting, domain names, how do they work, and CSS. So that's what we are going to be talking about. So thank you everyone for joining, and I will see you next time. Cheers.